Hey guys, welcome back to episode 3 of Year of the Dead. So we're going to be reviewing Romero's second Dead movie, which is 1978's Dawn of the Dead. So right off the bat, what are your first thoughts?
I would argue it's one of my favorite zombie movies of all time. It is, I think arguably people could put up other arguments and they're valid too, because his whole series, there's really good ones. I think it's his best of his entirety. It's the best of his best trilogy.
Yes.
So I mean, I can see arguments
of this trilogy, and all of these are almost better.
Like I could see arguments for like Day if somebody said that, or Night of the Living Dead. I could see, and I'd be like, those are very valid because they're really good movies. This one just felt like it was different. They're all different. Like every one of his movies is different, and he does. That's kind of why I like.
But it builds off concepts instead of set pieces.
Like in this one, it's like the outbreak's already started, and you got to see society managing it. Obviously not well. Yeah. You can see the like rednecks with guns with like hunting zombies from the first movie in it. So there is some continuity in a way. Or
you do get a different look at it because this one is more urban than the rural setting of Night of the Living Dead.
Yeah. It's definitely like the first one was a siege, rural. It's arguably a siege, but it's not a hard siege. And then like Day of the Dead, we'll talk about next time, is a whole different type of thing. Yeah. And then Land's a whole different type of thing. And then like Diary is a whole different type of thing. And Survival, I've seen once. I gotta see it. It doesn't, but they all go different, and that's why this one is so good. It spawned off. It was the one they looked at and were like, we're gonna do a remake back. God, I don't even
2004 was Zack Snyder's remake.
That was one of the first zombie movies I ever saw. Was the actual. I saw the remake before I saw this one.
Me too.
Which is unfortunate, but it doesn't take away from this one. I really like this one.
It looks like Poe's gonna be moving a little bit.
I guess my big boys are gonna be behind us.
What's up, Popo? So I would say, this is my favorite of Romero's movies, and definitely top 10 zombie film of all time.
It's just it's fun. It sets a lot of. Just like the first one set a lot of, this is how zombies are. Yes. This one expands off of it, which is, so a lot of stuff we take for granted. Like, if you just turn on Netflix, random zombie movie, you're already in your head like, okay, somebody, like,
this is what's expected.
Like, you gotta shoot them in the head or take the head off. You're gonna have to, like, do this, and this. It furthered Romero, especially his first 3 trilogy, with a big, this is how zombies are. And I think that's fascinating, and how you can't go in there with like, oh, this is what you expect, because it wasn't. The audiences watching this didn't have what we're watching it now, like respecting stuff.
So yeah, I definitely agree with Zach, because also keep in mind, though Night of the Living Dead was like the first zombie movie as we know it, there really wasn't a lot of imitators between this between Night and Dawn,
which is almost like 10 years.
Which is a long time between the two, and
because it wasn't really a thing.
By the time they get to Day of the Dead, which we'll talk more of next episode,
people are thinking
zombie movies were coming up, but there really wasn't a thing. There was things that had similar concepts but didn't really embrace it the same way Dawn does.
And before them, there was like White Zombie. Yeah. And I'm sure there's a few, and it was mostly voodoo zombies and stuff like that. This movie is the first one in his trilogy that uses the word zombie.
Yes,
which is interesting.
I did notice that.
Because I might have missed it before. He said like there's zombies there or something, and I even said, I'm like, hey Sean, I'm assuming they might have said it before,
maybe.
But I didn't catch it.
And you notice that I know Walking Dead kind of popularized the idea of not really saying the word zombie when you're talking about zombies and coming up with whatever you want.
That's why it's just he's randomly said it, and I'm like, they must have been said before, but I didn't catch it, which I thought I would have. So I can't quote me on it. It was like halfway through the movie, and I'm like, oh, that's weird, because audiences going into this aren't thinking zombies.
No, like, and back then, no,
they might thinking like, oh, these people are like walking. Honestly, the
Living Dead,
Walking Dead are probably what people were thinking of when they were going into this, not. Because you go into a movie like this now, it's a zombie movie.
Yeah, it's a zombie movie.
You're not thinking,
the genre
oh, Living Dead, it's like this, and this.
He's a good boy.
Go away from the camera.
So, basic plot of Dawn of the Dead. It takes place, it opens with like in a I believe it's like a newscasting room, and it's utter chaos
and
because no one knows what information's coming in. It's all contradictory. Everyone's yelling at people, just running away.
I remember that there was like a point where like, we want to put all this, when we're not doing this or this, we're putting all the safe zones on there, and the people are like, most of those safe zones aren't even like safe zones anymore. You're going to actually have people go there and die, and they're like, we don't care. We want this. Like, for the ratings, people are going to tune out, and like, still you're in the apocalypse, and like, people are just still worried about ratings, which I thought was very. You might think it's ridiculous, but it's very human in how these things work.
Yep. And by that point in time, they might not even been viewing it as like, this is the end of the world. This is just something crazy they need to overcome.
It's like I guess it might have been like
you were thinking
us going into COVID. It might have been the same type of things. People are dropping dead, but we're still still moving on. So I mean, that's actually a good.
So this is like a more extreme version of COVID, but it is kind of along those lines of just chaos in the beginning. So then they go to we follow two of the police officers or SWAT team members, whatever they are, and they're like storming this building that has zombies in it.
Because I think on the news you heard that like the president said you can't stay in like private residences anymore, no matter how safe you think they are. So I'm assuming these people were told to leave and they didn't, and they're like,
probably.
So they kind of go in there, get into a shootout with, they call them Puerto Ricans and stuff. So,
and white guys mainly.
Yeah. But like they go in there, there's obviously the militants with the guns, but then there's the regular people who kind of get caught in the crossfire too.
Yeah, but then there's zombies.
And then there's zombies in there, and then they find a whole room full of zombies, like where they just drop their dead off through a little latch, and then that's where you meet the two SWAT guys that are kind of the main part of those two people. When you're at the station, there's the guy Flyboy, and then there's his, I forget his girl's name. And so they end up kind of like teaming up together, getting a helicopter. Then when you think of Dawn of the Dead, either or, what you think is the mall. The mall's this big, and that becomes an important part in this. So they get there,
and they fortified the mall. And while doing so, one of the SWAT team members gets bitten. But this is where one thing I notice is it's not really consistent of how long it takes someone to turn, because it feels like at least at minimum a week goes by.
Which who knows? That could have been there could have been a montage and it was a day. That's why I don't like.
I know.
That's why that's why in movies I don't like montages, because your grasp of time, because there's so much going on, is distorted. So usually if there's a montage, it should say, like 2 weeks later.
Or in the dialogue somehow convey that. But you don't really know. You just know that he gets bitten, and in our mind, he's going to turn to a zombie. But in their mind,
you don't know that
they have never seen that happen. Someone get bit and then turn to a zombie.
We might be wrong. I don't think it was shown like somebody just dying and turning into a zombie and Night of the Living Dead. Could be wrong.
Yeah,
I don't believe so. So this is, and the way they're handling it is more like they don't know that. And obviously after a while,
it's vague. There's no like set rules in place. One thing you'll find in Romero series, if you do just die, you come back as a zombie. You don't need to be bit.
For ours, like Zeitgeist and stuff, it's Walking Dead.
Yeah, it's along those lines.
I mean, we say Walking Dead rules. Walking Dead took the Romero rules, because Walking Dead is kind of, if you gave Romero a TV show on a big budget, it's Walking Dead.
Yeah, it's
not taken away from the guy that made Walking Dead, but the not anime, the comic or the TV show, still phenomenal zombie. If you like that, you'll like the Romero ones for the most part.
But at this point, I don't think it's established. So, and at another point in time,
I think it was this movie that established it.
Another time you see someone get bitten and they turn very fast. But one thing Shane brought up, he's like bitten, all his blood is coming out of him, and he's like cut off from the zombies. And when the zombies find him, he's turned very quickly.
Maybe it's like because
he could have bled to death.
But we don't know if you just like if
it's all vague.
Yeah, so I mean, and a lot of zombie movies do that. You'll see somebody even Walking Dead, somebody gets bit, and they usually have this, like, I forget how many hours it takes, but there's some people that take a lot longer. There's some people that it's right away. So, and like Walking Dead, you didn't know that if you just die, you turn until Shane gets shot. I hope you've watched that, because that was a big spoiler.
I'll put up a big spoiler sign.
But,
I probably won't.
I mean, by now you should know that.
Yeah. But anyways, that's one thing. Like, some of the rules aren't consistent, but you can see the rules starting to become more concrete. So once they fortify the mall, you can see, and one of their people die, you can see they slowly start to become more and more like complacent in their lives, and just the boredom almost setting in, because like they have control over this entire mall, but like now what's the point of living if they can't really live anymore?
Well, I always said once the one SWAT guy dies, the last SWAT guy is just kind of the third wheel. He doesn't have his buddy because the other two are in a relationship, so you do kind of feel for him. You see him kind of just doing stuff on his own while they are kind of together.
And this, what becomes pretty much a motif for all of Romero's films, and you saw it in Night of the Living Dead as well, maybe to a lesser extent, is the real, I want to say villain, but the real like challenge in his movies is that humans, we can't coexist with each other even when faced with a crisis. So in Night of the Living Dead, you kind of saw it as in like the people downstairs and the people upstairs not being able to like coexist.
And this one's like that, because that's like the inside the group cohesion falls apart. And then the other one, this one is the exterior. There's a band of bikers that come by that just literally just a pillage and loot.
It's almost a comedy act at one time. Like they get pies and throw them in zombies' faces. Like
which is a weird.
It was a weird tonal shift, but if you just take away that for a moment,
gore was really good.
Yes, the gore was great, and we'll get to that too. Speaking of Tom Savini, who does the gore, he's one of the probably the only biker that you really probably the biker you see the most.
He's in it quite a bit.
Yeah, I think his name's Blade. Anyways, it's all these bikers wanting what they have, so they storm into the mall, and it unleashes a bunch of zombies from outside into the mall, and they try to fight back. Flyboy really doesn't want to give up what they have, and he's the one that starts shooting at them, and that's
originally
like
they kind of had a plan to kind of let a lot of zombies in, overwhelm them so they leave, and then close it up. But he starts shooting at him, which unleashes, and then
which inadvertently leads to him dying, and then the other SWAT team member. It gets to the point where he pretty much accepts his fate that he's gonna die, and the girl's
because she's like, we gotta go, and he's just like, I don't want to go. Then he has like a little derringer. He's just sitting in an office with it like kind of like this. They break in, and then all of a sudden he just goes, I want to live. Shoots the guy coming through the door, and then it's action movie.
But anyways, there was like this action movie music that kicks in.
It's literally
it feels like I'm watching a Chuck Norris.
It's like
movie.
And Chuck Norris of the A-Team.
I can
see
that too.
And he's just like he's karate kicking people, not like too.
It's not over the top,
but it was like getting.
The
that.
Music didn't help. But anyways, it ends with him getting on the helicopter. They leave, and that's the last you ever see of here.
Which is kind of sad. Cause I would like to know what happened to him, because he really kind of. The actor, what's his name? That guy,
Ken Foree. I cannot remember his name in the movie
because I just one of my favorite characters in a zombie movie in general. Just like, and then Vin Rames, and then in the remake of it, those two, like him in this, and he's actually in the remake as the I think they just call like the pastor, or the preacher or something like that, and he says the same line he said.
Oh yeah, the legendary line: "When there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth." And he says it both in here and the remake, which we'll talk about the remake in depth next year. Yeah,
great character, love him. I think he's one of him, and then the black character, what is the actor's name from the first Night of the Living Dead? The last
Dwayne
time.
Jones. That's
I brought up the last time. I think he's one of the best actors in that movie. So ironically, they have, and you'll give. I know this one's more in the late in the 70s, so it's not as big of a deal.
Yeah.
But in Night of the Dead, putting a black actor as the lead was a big deal. Did great. He had a black actor as arguably the lead in this phenomenal character. I know there's a black actor.
I don't even think his race was relevant to this movie.
No,
he was just someone who kicks butt.
And I don't think the race was relevant in the last one. Because even Romero said, I just chose him because he was the best fit for that character.
Yeah,
he's like, I didn't have a race in mind for the character.
In hindsight, you can kind of see some of the racial tones in Night of the Living Dead that just comes out of it being a black actor in that situation.
Yeah.
In Dawn of the Dead,
you can argue that's why the other guy didn't want to listen to him.
I don't know. Some of the other SWAT team members are really racist against the
Puerto Ricans.
The Puerto Ricans,
but it's,
like overly too much. Like even the main SWAT guy just like gave the guy a really weird look when he's going on his really racist rant before blowing them away.
And a lot of the people were inner city, so they were African American and stuff and that. So that one definitely there was purposeful tones into it, which is Romero doesn't shy away from that type of stuff.
No, there's always deeper themes to all.
Definitely such a, and like you say, all his movies, there's a deeper theme. It doesn't have to be race each time, but there's a deeper theme, like how we work together and stuff. Like The Crazies, which is a zombie, but it's an infected movie. It's not really zombie, but you'll see in that movie when they're like freaking, like there's so much chaos of them working together. You don't see that and everything. You saw this a little bit in this one, the chaos and stuff. Yeah, and because in that part they're all yelling and stuff.
It quickly in this movie gets to just those 4 people for like 70% of the film, which is interesting. I do like their dynamic, and honestly, you can see different parts of, like, there's one time when the SWAT guy gets way too cocky and it leads to his downfall, and you can see them not getting along, but like ultimately you can tell that they see this situation as something dire and they do band together and work together. But this one shows the outside forces, like the people who like, oh, we don't have the small, we want the small, we're gonna go take the
for really like no reason too.
Honestly,
like they go in there, lose a bunch of people, and then you really didn't gain. Like, I don't think they took that much food.
No, I think they just took like different.
They took silver and cash and all this stuff. It was like looting for looting's sake, which interesting choice, but
so it was interesting. It wasn't the end fighting that brought him down. Like, they did seem like they worked together well. So anyways, that's what we think of Dawn of the Dead. It's definitely one of my favorites. We'll end on this. If you had to pick your favorite death scene or kill, like of someone killing a zombie or a zombie killing someone, what would you say it was from this movie?
That's a hard one.
Because there's some that are really good, there's some that are really funny.
There's a few, like, they're refueling the helicopter, blades are going, and a zombie, like, walks over, like, steps on top of something, and the blade takes the top of his head off, and he just crumples over. It's the scene that I'm going to remember.
It's really unique.
There's another, like, disemboweling scene for, I think it's one of the bikers.
When they're ripping the intestines out.
And they're just ripping intestines out, and I think that's a very good showing of the gore and stuff.
Yeah, because you saw, like, intestines ripped out in Night of the Living Dead, but it was not to the same, like, extent.
There's also at the very beginning when they raid the house, the guy kicks in a door, just blows this guy's head straight off. Yeah. That's a good one, too.
I don't even know if he's a zombie when he does it.
I actually don't think he was a zombie. I think that was
just the racist cop.
I think it was just showing the chaos of the situation, because there was, like, people around him that was not a zombie.
Yeah. So the cops even needed to shoot
that was a good, because
he was just going nuts. My favorite is actually one of the kills the zombies had on the people. It's because it's hilarious. It's one of the biker guy early in, like, them storming the place. He puts his arm in one of those, like,
I was just thinking
blood pressure tester things, and then, like, he takes it out because he has to go do something else.
I think somebody said something.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, okay, well.
He's like, oh man, you're gonna be doing this while people are shooting at us, and he's like, oh, okay, and he goes up. So then zombies get more. Everyone's hectic. This guy's getting cornered, so he puts his arm in there. And then immediately the zombies get him. Like, it's like he went out of his way to just.
I think later on you just see an arm in there, and you see, like, blood pressure's like 0.
Yeah, they rip him off with his arm staying there. It's the most ridiculous thing. So some of the kills are insane.
Well, like we said, they were pieing zombies at one point, which is.
Yeah.
I think that was to highlight, and this may be just me trying to be intelligent and, like, put something that wasn't there, to highlight the chaos and they just don't take this seriously.
Yeah, I can also view it as, like, how they don't even view them as human anymore. Yeah. He's like, the humanity of these people, like, of the zombies, they're completely gone, and we just view them as a joke now.
That's a good one.
Again, different ways to interpret it, but the scene was a big tonal shift.
Like I said, Romero's a very great at how he does stuff, and his movies are. Even the ones I don't like near the end, and it's not that I don't like them, they're not as good. Because I look at Romero, because I've seen, trust me, even the weakest in this series, I've seen much worse zombie movies. Like, like, to the point where it's like, this definitely. Is just, like, I want to spit. Like, this is so like these, and some of them they use the name, to get people to watch it. They have nothing to do with it. There's so many bad zombie movies because once Walking Dead came out, there were.
So many.
That's how you.
So many zombie movies.
Yeah, so it's.
So, there's every movie we're going to review this year, there are worse out there. Maybe The Last Return of the Living Dead might be one of the bad ones. But, for better or worse, there's all the movies that we're going to review this year are better than other crappy low rent asylum zombie movies out there.
Oh yeah, like I don't know why.
We don't even want to get into it.
But like there's like Nazis from the Center of the Earth. It's an asylum movie. We should do a year of the asylum.
Cool, man. Full Moon,
funny
bottom barrel and
asylum,
like enjoyable asylum
or cash grabs.
Yeah, no.
And like there's one called like Nazis from the Center of the Earth. That's just technically a zombie movie. And you're like, oh,
so bad.
I think I was like so disgusted watching it.
I don't know why you wanted it on DVD.
Look what they did to my boy. That's so good to my boy. That's how I felt watching stuff like that.
All right, so enough about Asylum. Dawn of the Dead, very good movie. Definitely top 10
of the Asylum
movies. We're not
coming
doing
soon.
that. Ever.
To a VHS near you.
To a VHS near you. All right. Well, we're gonna sign off. So
send more paramedics.